advice, and we did a lot of advice with saying should, have to, must. If you remember those words, they are called modal verbs, and that means that they go before the main action. So we're going to look at some grammar. How do we give advice, especially using should and the negative shouldn't? And how do we use can? So remember when we say can verb, for example, I can swim, I can play an instrument, I can speak Spanish. So we're going to use that word can. And then we're going to talk about places and things that are in the places and people. Because if you remember, we've been looking at monuments, which means statue, and speaking about the statues. And visiting other countries and making suggestions. So how can we tell someone where they should go for their next holiday and why should they go to their holiday? So we're going to give advice, we're going to give suggestions, and we're going to use can. Okay, so that's the grammar that we're going to look at now in this lesson. And if you have a look, let's look at some grammar. So to give advice, we use we use should and have to. Okay, so should and have to. So for example, should verb means it's very important. So you can see I've put a tick. For example, you should wake up early. You should exercise every day. You should make some friends. You should study English. Okay, it means that this is the main action and it's very important that you should do it. Now, if I say have to verb, it's the same as should. Okay, so have to verb. It means that it's very important. So for example, you have to speak to your teacher. If you have a problem, you have to play quietly because people are sleeping. You have to read all the rules. You have to, in Australia, you have to drive on the right-hand side. Sorry, on the left-hand side. So that means it's very important. So should and have to are both the same when we want to give advice. To make it a negative, we say shouldn't verb. So you add the not, but you connect it. So for example, you shouldn't smoke. It's bad for your health. Okay, that's advice. You shouldn't watch too much TV. You shouldn't sleep too much. You shouldn't eat lots of bad food. That's advice. Okay, and I'm saying to you because it's not important. You shouldn't do something. Now, for have to, you can make the negative, but you need to say don't or doesn't, depending on the subject. So you don't, I don't, we don't, they don't. But doesn't is for he, she, it. So if I'm talking about my friend, she doesn't have to come with us to the party. He doesn't have to work on the weekends. We don't have to have class on the weekends. We don't have to speak loudly. So it means it's not important. Okay, so using should and have to is how we give someone advice. And when you give someone advice, that means you're telling them what is important, what is good for them. So maybe it's something to do with eating something, exercising, doing an activity, anything that's good for the body, that is good for someone. There's lots of things that are good for us and there's lots of things that are bad for us. So when you want to talk about don't do something because it's bad, you should say shouldn't. So you shouldn't smoke. You shouldn't drink alcohol. You shouldn't make trouble, you know. Okay, to talk about necessity and possibility, we use can and then the main action. So for example, if I say can verb, for example, I can sing, I can speak English, I can go to the beach today, I can play the piano. That means that it's possible or it's allowed. So for example, you can do it. I know how to do it. But to say the negative, you say can't verb. So for example, I can't speak Portuguese. I can't speak Chinese. Or you can't smoke in the building. That means you are not allowed to do something. You cannot play loud music in class. You can't use your phone in class. You can't eat in class. Okay, so when we say can't, it is the negative to say that you are not allowed to do something. So let's practice giving advice and talking about what is possible and what we can do. So if you look at number 1, I wear nice clothes, but I don't have to wear a uniform. So if you look at this sentence, I wear nice clothes, but it says here, but I don't have to wear a uniform. That means it's not important. To work, I don't have to wear a uniform. It's like saying I don't need to. It's not a law. I don't have to do it. It's not a law. I can wear anything I want. Number 2, the tourists can't smoke on the tour. So we say can't because they're not allowed to. It's against the law. It's bad. It's not possible. But they can outside. At lunchtime, I can eat with the tourists, but I don't have to. So the first one is I can eat, because that means if I want to, I have an option. If I want, I can. It's not I must, I have to. It's not should. It's just if I want, I have an option. But then it says here, but I don't have to, because that means there's no law. If I want, I can, but I don't have to. I have to know everything about the city, because the tourists ask a lot of questions. Or you can say, I have to know all the grammar in my book. Why? Because I have a test. So when you say, I have to know, that means it's very, very important. I have to know all the grammar to speak good English. I have to practice more English. I have to pick up my daughter. Remember you said to me, I have to pick up my daughter on Wednesdays and I have to take her outside because she doesn't like to stay inside. So that's when you're saying I have to, because you're saying it's very important. It's the same as must. I have to pick her up. I must pick her up. So it's very important. I have to do this. I have to know something. I have to meet more people. I have to practice my English. Okay, let's look at some negatives for number 2. This hotel is terrible. We shouldn't stay here. So shouldn't. That's advice to say it's not good. We should not stay here. We should leave because the hotel is very, very bad. So we shouldn't stay here. It's not important for us to stay here. She doesn't speak the local language. She should do a language course. So that's important. It's important she does a language course. You shouldn't rent a car because it's very expensive. So if I'm giving someone advice, I want to say you shouldn't because it's not important. And I said why it's not important. Because it's very expensive. You shouldn't rent a car. You should catch the bus. You should buy catch a bus. You should walk. Or just catch the train. Sometimes the hotels are full. So we should book a room early in advance. So if you remember, Lucy, when you were telling me about in Beijing, you said that you must book tickets in advance because it's going to be very busy. So it's the same as saying should. You must book your tickets online. You should book your tickets online because you'll save money and because it's going to be very busy. So it's the same. How you said, so we should book a room or you book your tickets in advance. That means early, before you arrive somewhere. Okay, number 3, we're going to write some sentences with should and shouldn't. Here are some examples. I have lots of examples. For example, I have to attend English classes from Monday to Friday. And we can write it very short like this, Monday to Friday. So it's very common for a native speaker to write Monday like this and Friday like this. And we can see I have to. That means it's very, very important. It's the same as saying exactly those words. It is very important I attend English class. But it's too long to say it is very important. So we say I have to, I must, I should. They're all the same words. I have to attend English class from Monday to Friday. I can stay in the class during the break. So remember, can is not you must, like a law, you must, you have to. But if I want, I have an option. I can, or maybe if I want, I can go outside. So it's not you must stay in class. Because if I said you have to stay in class in your break, that means you cannot go outside. But I'm saying here that I can stay in class during the break, but I don't have to. It's not important. It's not a law. If I want, I can go outside. I can come sit in the class. The students shouldn't be talking when the teacher is talking. So shouldn't, that means it's very bad. The students must not. They shouldn't. It's not good to be talking when the teacher is talking. Maria should wake up earlier because she is always late for work. So she should, that's very important. I'm giving advice. Maria, you should wake up early because you are always late. I have to learn English every day. So have to. It's the same as saying should. It's very important. I have to learn English every day. At my job, I have to wear a uniform. Okay, so maybe for another job, if you work in construction or if you work in a different job, maybe for that job, it's very important. I have to wear a uniform. But it depends on the job. So imagine somebody is telling you, at my job, I must wear a uniform. I have to. The car park is terrible. I shouldn't park there. So that means it's a bad idea. I shouldn't. The car park is bad. I shouldn't park there. So again, we don't want to repeat the word car park. So you say there in the next sentence. I should arrive at 5 p.m. to my office. That means it's very important. I must arrive at 5 p.m. We should keep the classroom clean. Okay, should. That's very important. And shouldn't talk loudly or eat in the class. I shouldn't go to work because I'm unwell. Okay, so that means it's not important to go to work. I must not do it. It's not good because I am unwell. That means because I am sick, because I am not feeling good. I should review my English notes. That means it's very important. I should go home now. Maybe because the class is finished. So because the class is finished. I can wear anything I want every day. Can, that means you have an option. If you want, you can choose what to wear. I can wear anything I want. When it's hot, we should drink water. That's very important. When it's hot, we must. I should go to the bookstore on Monday. Should we go to the beach today? So we can ask a question. That's how we ask, or how we can make a suggestion. Remember, to make a suggestion is when I give someone what I think, when I give someone my ideas. Should we go to the beach today? I don't have to work on Fridays. And I should go to work every day. So remember, should here is because it's very, very important. Okay, so now we know how to give advice by using have to, should. Did we give suggestions? So give advice. You should visit. Yeah, so and to give suggestions. So maybe I will so to give advice, but also to give suggestions. I'll add it here. So to give suggestions. So to give suggestions, we use should and have to as well. So it's the same rules. So what I'll do is I'm going to write to give advice and suggestion. Now remember, they're different, advice and suggestion. So to give advice means I'm telling you what I think is good, or maybe what is not good. But when I give a suggestion, I'm telling you my plan, what I think is a good plan. Like, we should go to the movies. We should go for a walk. Should we go to the beach? So when you give a suggestion, it's about the plan. It's about what should we do on the weekend? Well, should we go to the movies? Should we go to the beach? Should we go to the theater? Should we go to the museum? So suggestions is talking about plans, and advice is talking about what is good for the body. So for example, you shouldn't smoke, you should exercise every day, you should eat healthy. So even though you are using the same verbs, but they're to give advice, and to give us suggestions a very different thing. When you give an advice, as I said, it's about what is good for the body or bad for the body. But a suggestion is about your plans. What are you going to do on the weekend? Or what am I going to do with this problem? Or what am I going to do with my next traveling? So suggestion is about plans, advice, what is good for your body or bad for your body. And the body, you know, life. Okay, and remember, can is when we talk about what you have an option. You're allowed to do something. The law lets you to do something. The government. Okay, so let's talk about, did we practice, we finished number 3. I don't have to work on Fridays. That means it's not important. I don't have to. I should go to work every day. That means it's very, very important. Okay, let's talk about places, people, and things. So if you remember, when you have where at the end, that's talking about a place. When you have the word thing, that is talking about an object or an activity. And when you have body, or maybe it says one, that's talking about a person. So that's the 3 rules you have to remember. So if you look at, we're going to look at this paragraph about space tourism. So let's read it together. You can repeat after me. So there's always somewhere new to visit on Earth. So let's have a look. We used somewhere. We don't know exactly where. It's not specific. It's just somewhere in the world. Somewhere. That's what it means. Okay, not specifically a place, Brazil, Australia. It's just some place. Imagine if this word said some place. There's always a place, some place. So you got to remember, somewhere means a place, a location. But maybe you'd like to do something really different for your next holiday. So something, remember, thing means object or activity, an action. So you'd like to do something, hiking, swimming, running, dancing, whatever. Not a specific activity, just any activity, something. So again, you need to remember this word, something, is talking about an object or activity, not a place, an activity. Space Adventures is a space tourism company, and they sent somebody into space 10 years ago. Now remember, somebody means a person. So a human, a person. So, and they sent a person. So if you replace this word with a human, a man, a woman, a person, into space 10 years ago. Since then, 6 more tourists have traveled with the company, and hundreds more tourists have reserved flights in the future. Okay, so now we know how to use this word, somewhere. Okay, so somewhere, something, somebody, or someone. It's the same. So make sure you know exactly where is talking about a place, thing is talking about an object or activity, and body or one is talking about a person, a human. So very different words. So you can see somewhere, something, somebody. Very easy words. If you remember, where is about a place, thing is about an activity, object, body, a person. And it's not specific, it's in general. Okay, so if you remember, we also looked at vocabulary for traveling. So let's have a look at some sentences. In Puerto Rico, the US dollar is the national currency. And make sure you know how to spell your vocabulary. Currency. So that means in Australia, we have the Australian dollar. The Australian dollar is the currency, is the money. This is another word for money. So the Australian dollar is Australian currency. Get a work visa before you get a job in a new country. So we know what a visa is because you have a visa. It lets you to come into another country. It's like the government will say, yes, you can enter to my country. It's just a visa. In most countries, cars drive on the right-hand side. Yeah, so Australia is on the left-hand side. So in Australia, you must drive on the left-hand side. You can have a driving license. Make sure you know how to spell your vocabulary because in the test, you have to spell. So very important. Remember, L-I-C-E-N-C-E. So when you learn your vocabulary for your unit, also learn spelling. So license, because next week you have a test. So just remember to spell these words. Now, Luxembourg is a multicultural. So you can see multi means many, culture means places. So multicultural, in Australia, it's multicultural because we have people from many different countries, from China, from India, from Italy, from Greece. So many people from different parts of the world, multicultural. Okay, so let's look at some more vocabulary to do with when we talk about visiting another country. So what types of holidays can we do? So remember, types means like what different holiday can you do? You can go camping, hiking, sightseeing. Okay, that's from our book, but you can also go on a boat tour. You could go on a walking tour. You could go in the mountain. You can go in the country, or maybe just a type of holiday is relaxing in the city. What is a type of ticket? So remember, type means different ticket. You can get a single ticket. Remember, a single ticket is when you go from one city to one city, and that's it. So for example, Adelaide to Melbourne, but that's it. You can't come back. But return means you go Adelaide to Sydney, Sydney to Adelaide. You come back to where you originally left. So remember the difference? Single ticket, return ticket. Souvenirs. What are souvenirs? Gifts. Okay, it's gifts. When you go to another country and you want to buy something. So maybe you want to return to China You want to buy your mum or your dad something from Australia. Maybe you're going to buy a little kangaroo, a little koala bear. That's a souvenir. It's a gift. So remember, know how to spell as well. Souvenir. It's a very hard spelling. Souvenir, it just means gift from a country because you want to bring it back. It's not just any gift. It's specific to the country. So when I said to you a kangaroo, a little koala, because that's Australia. But if I go to China, maybe I'm going to buy something very Chinese souvenir, you know, to remind me of China, to remind me of my trip. Tour guide, we know what tour guide is. A tour guide is a person who will show you the city or monuments or will show you, you know, and give you information. Remember how we did the tour guide? So a tour guide is somebody talking to tourists and showing them and giving them information about the city, the history, whatever. But a tourist is someone who is traveling. So if I go to China, I'm a tourist because it's not my country, because I'm just a visitor. So another word for tourist, remember, is visitor. Okay, or traveler. The same words, tourist, visitor, traveler. Okay, so let's make some suggestions and talk about holidays. So remember, how do we start our sentence? How can I give someone what I think is a good idea? I can say, how about going to the museum? How about going to the park? So to the museum. How about going to the park? How about going to the cinema? Okay, and it's a question because I'm asking someone for that plan. So number 8, how about going on a camping holiday? And the response is yes, but I don't like bad weather. I prefer sleeping in a hotel because camping means outside, not in a hotel. So when you're camping, make sure you know what that word means. When you're camping, you have a tent. Usually you're on the river or in nature somewhere. Number 2, you should visit the beach. So we know we use should when we tell someone what is a good idea, a plan. So you should visit the beach, you should visit the museum, you should visit the park. And the answer can be yes. But the disadvantage is it's very crowded in summer. So crowded means there's lots of people. Like what you told me, Lucy, in that place. You said it's crowded. Even doesn't matter which season you go, winter, spring, autumn, summer, it's crowded, many people. So book your ticket online. Another way to make a suggestion is you can just say, can I make a suggestion? That means, can I give you my ideas? And a response would be sure. Sure is like saying yeah. So it's like, yes, sure. It's another way to say yes, of course. Okay, these are very common in English. Sure, yes, of course. So this is the response. Remember, response means that if person A says, can I make a suggestion? Then person B will say, yes, of course you can, sure. We can make a suggestion by saying, why don't you go hiking in the mountains? Okay, so you can put the main action here. Why don't you go swimming? Why don't you go running? Why don't you go walking? Okay, so it has to be an activity. So why don't you go hiking in the mountains? And we can respond, that's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. I need some exercise. That's a really good idea. So that idea, you could see a thinking. That's a really good plan. That's a really good idea. So we don't have number 9. It says, answer these questions about your last holiday. So I don't think I have a post. I'll make a quick post on here. Okay, so you can reply to this comment here. I'll make a quick comment. I think, what do I, here? So so your last holiday. Okay, so tell me about your last holiday. Tell me about your last holiday. Okay, so I'll make a post now because I don't have one. But you can see the post is here. So you can write and tell me about your last holiday. So for example, I'll write my example. So my last holiday was in, so I'm just going to make this up. My last holiday was in Italy. Okay, so first, very simple sentence to say my last holiday, and was, because that's in the past, and in Italy. So you say the country. Then it says, where did you go? Who did you go with? What did you do? So I went with my family for 2 weeks, for example. What did you do? So we went to see some famous sites, such as the Colosseum, and St. Peter's Cathedral. So maybe here was in Milan, Italy, whatever. You can put the city, comma, country. So if you want to put the city, you put the name of the city, then you put a comma, and then the country. Okay, so I'm just making this up. This is just a quick example. So you could say, what did you do? The Colosseum, this place. What did you do? So you can keep writing many things. I could talk about the food. I could talk about the places that I went to. I can talk about what did I do? Maybe I saw family there, or maybe I went to a festival. Maybe there was a party or something. And then, would you recommend this hotel? So Milan is so beautiful that I recommend you go there. Or I should say you should. Milan is so beautiful that you should, because remember when we recommend the plans, that you should go there, Yeah, but you could say a lot more. Okay, that's just a very quick example. So tell me about your last holiday, and don't forget to add if you think you should go there. Maybe you went to a place and it was very, very, very bad. Then you can tell people you shouldn't go there. It was so bad. It was very disgusting. It was very awful. The people were very bad. The food was bad. You shouldn't go to this country or this city because it's just very bad. Maybe it's dangerous. Maybe something bad happened. So you could tell me about a holiday. Maybe it was a good holiday. Maybe it was a bad holiday. Okay, so it doesn't always have to be good because sometimes we have bad experiences on our holiday. If you want, you can write about a true experience or you can make it up to try to practice your English. Okay, so that's all that we did for the review. So I'll give you 10 minutes. So, hi, Henry, we're writing about our last holidays. Okay, so I want you to tell me, where did you go on your last holiday? Who did you go with? What did you do? And would you recommend this holiday? Remember to use should. You should go here because, okay, so I'll give you 10 minutes to write.